Hi guys, how are you? Do you know, I love it when my cats turn around and start watching what you're doing. Little monkey. Do you know, when you've been in a relationship, a normal relationship now I'm talking, where there's no control, there's no abuse, there's no nothing like that. You've been in a normal relationship and you basically have had enough, or they've had enough, one or the other, and you go your separate ways. In that kind of relationship, you may have that grieving period where you're a bit sad and down, but you basically shrug it off, and maybe you treat yourself to a new hairdo or something, or anything really, and you start to eventually get out the other side. You start living for yourself and then looking for the next one. Yeah, I've had a few of them. I think we all where it's like 1 minute you're like thinking to yourself, God, what did I ever see in that person, and all their little quirks and foils suddenly just annoy the life out of you, and you just, you shrug it off, you move on, don't you? But when you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, you've been in domestic violence, you've been with somebody who puts you down all the time, who controls you, manipulates you, who makes you feel absolutely crushed to smithereens, may have raped you, may have beaten you up, put you in hospital, all that kind of stuff. Somehow trauma bonding comes in. And for me that was is still the hardest part of getting out of a relationship. It's weird, you can't explain it to anybody unless you're going through it or have been through it yourself. You go through this phase, some say phase, is it a word to use? Because some people that I've been talking to on various support groups and stuff have said years down the line they still feel the same now, and it's like, oh my gosh. Trauma bonding is where the brain basically switches off to all the bad parts. It can sort of put everything in a box. My head was doing that all the time. I had flag after flag after flag, even in the very beginning. I'd have flags flying up at me left, right and centre, and they were waving. They were like going absolutely like, woo, But for me personally, it was, am I making up? Am I imagining it? Is it real? Is this what's really going on? And because I've been in there in the past, and so I know from experience what it's like to be in a domestic abuse relationship, and I'm thinking, am I comparing? Is that what I'm doing? And so you have a tendency to sort of switch off. But sorry, my fringe was doing my head in. But yeah, your brain sort of switches off to the flags. And you sort of cope with it, if you like. It becomes normal. And trauma bonding is where, say, your relationship's finished, you've got out, you're not with that person anymore, and then they have this, you basically, it's like the brain cannot differentiate between that this is the same person that was absolutely vile to you, did so many bad things to you, gives so many bad memories, trauma, and you still love that person. You think, how the hell can you possibly love somebody that's absolutely crushed you, deflated you, put you through so much that you're waiting to maybe see counselling for? You can't put it into words. Your brain just switches off to all the bad, and that's why I've got an assortment of little mini Facebook groups to myself, where I have got things written down that have happened, or video footage, photographs that are just personal for me. Yeah, I've got CCTV up around my house, outside, and there's been a few incidents as to where I've got footage of him, so I can just look back on that and think, do I want to go back to this? Reminders to myself of what is smashed and done, and not everything, because I didn't really feel the need to take photographs and stuff and keep them all. And yeah, the trauma bonding side of things, when you've split up, it's that actually gets people that may have gone to refuges or whatever, staying with friends, that generally gets the victim to go back to their abuser, because you miss the nice side, the cuddly side, the affectionate side, the side that would say, oh, go and sit down, you know, I'll put the shopping away, you go and put your feet up, you go and get yourself to sleep for a bit, I'll hoover this up, I'll do this for you, you go upstairs, have some time for you, run yourself a bath, or I'll run you a bath, I'll do this, I'll do that. And Mr. Nice person, I think, oh, it's nice, and they try and make out that you cannot manage without them as well. They're really good at it. I mean, I'll do other videos of other things as well, but they're very good at it. They're good at making you feel needy with them. And it is hard when they actually, you know, it's like, but you have to remember that nice person comes along generally after abuse. So it's like, mine, for example, would have told me to go away, shouted at me, told me to don't talk to me, don't touch me, don't come near me. It's your fault I'm feeling like this. I've not done this. I've not done this to you. Blah, blah, blah. It goes on. And so you feel rubbish about yourself. You feel like your head's going through all these emotions, and it's really, really tough, and it crushes you, and it just makes you feel bad, and you just want to cuddle to make that feeling go away. And that's exactly the sort of thing that comes back at you time after time, the nice bits that you remember. Yeah, and it is hard, I know. I mean, I'm tomorrow going to be 14 weeks free from abuse. It is hard, very hard. My head still goes through depressed stages and missing and grieving him. You know, I mean, he did so many bad things to me, to my son, to my cats. You know, I would never want him back. And I have to remind myself by going onto my vlog things that I've got for myself to remind me that basically this is what he did to me. Don't go back. Do not go for the illusion of I can change, I can do this, I'm better now, because it doesn't change. I mean, I've seen so many women on these, and men too, on support groups that have said that they have gone back, and then their abuser is like 10 times worse when they have gone back. To start with, they may still be absolutely perfect, lovely, but the whole thing, the whole image that they create does not stay away forever. You know, that horrible side does not go away, and eventually it snaps, and you know, some have ended up dead through taking their narcissist back, their abuser. So yeah, there's no way I'll be having him back, that's for sure. But trauma bonding is extremely hard. I mean, they say go no contact, and I'd managed it for when he come back and got his items, and then it was to the point of where I'd watched a video, actually, one of the ladies that does their own YouTube channels, like Angie Atkinson and co. Can't remember her name now, it's gone out of my head. But she did a video, this lady, on trauma bonding, and her narcissist that she got out, she managed to actually, she was still hankering on to him. She'd gone no contact for 12 months, and she was still feeling like she missed him, she loved him, couldn't live without him, all the rest of it. Missed all the nice sides, was crying an awful lot, feeling very down, depressed, missing him like crazy. Nice him, not obviously the not horrible side. And yeah, it was horrendous for her. So she went no contact, and then one day, it was a year later, she was still feeling really bad about everything, still feeling trauma bonded. She decided to unblock and have a look on his Facebook or something like that. And she had a look, and then one day she decided to just ring him up, and he answered. And it was, the trauma bonding never went away. And then he was all, I miss you, I love you, can't live without you, and all this sort of stuff. As to which he then asked her if she wanted to meet up. And she didn't meet up with him. Her friends were very much so like, don't do it. Got a cat headbutting my phone now as well, so yeah, great stuff. Aren't you? And then a friend said to her, don't you dare, because you'll end up taking him back. It's all a trap, basically. And so she decided to write him a letter, but obviously on the phone. Come off, stop putting the phone, come on. And then, yeah, she sent him a long message, but she didn't send it. At first, and then she sent it, and then the phone itself, or the mobile phone, she then put it in a rubbish bin and watched the bin man take the phone away, and she had no record of his number or anything, his mobile, house number, anything like that, and because it was all on her phone. And she watched the bin man take the bin with the phone in it away, and she felt relieved. And the message that she sent him, I basically sent something similar, and I sent it, and then I blocked him on everything, and it felt good. You know, it was like my closing chapter, and I did it, and I felt great, I felt relieved. We went away on holiday, and when we come back off holiday, the next day, I had a knock on the door, and it was him. He was wanting something of his. Bearing in mind, he'd been apart from me for a month, and it was a case of, for me, I unblocked him on one form of social media, and then, because I felt like if I didn't unblock him on something, he would just turn up. He'd have an excuse to appear because he couldn't contact me. So I unblocked him on one, and then he, it was about a week I had him unblocked, and then I unblocked him, and it was on social media, on Facebook, and he basically, no, it wasn't Facebook, it was WhatsApp, because he sent me a voicemail message on one of the days. He was all nice, lovely, and then it was, oh, I can change, and you could feel the vibe in the messaging, because when he was angry, he used to hit keys and it would all come up like double Dutch, and so he would, that's how I knew when he was messaging me and he was in one, because it was like he was pissing, and it wouldn't make sense at all. And so anyway, he then sent me, because he wanted his bike back. It was a bike that was here, because I used it for my son. And when he came to look for something, he'd noticed the bike was still hidden in the house, and he demanded it, as to which I said no. And it was to the point of, I had this really nasty message sent me on voicemail, and on that note I said I'm out, and I blocked him, and it felt great because I knew he hadn't changed. And then of course it was a case of, I felt good, and then a few weeks later he messaged me on another source, and of course the trauma bonding came back in, and of course ever since I have had messages from him, and it's sent me right down at times. Other times I've ignored him. There's been times he's been like, why have you ignored me, what have you been doing? And he's always wanted to know what I'm up to and everything, and somehow I have actually been telling him where I've been and stuff like that. But I know in myself I need to block and get rid altogether, because it's just sending me horrendous, I tell you. And it is hard, and I can't explain it, to anybody who's not been in this. They could think, why the hell have you still got him on your Facebook and all the rest of it? Why is he still there? It's very, very difficult, the head and heart and all the rest of it, but I know what I need to do. And yeah, so there we go. So yeah, it's not so simple just to ditch and move on. The head goes through an awful lot of emotions. I'm actually waiting to speak to a counsellor for a lot of the things that have gone on. Apparently it's supposed to be really, really good, but we'll see. But apparently there's a good 6 months plus wait, so now I say. Right guys, I am going to love and leave. Thanks for watching then. Bye.